Yay! Hi, friends and yogis. This is Jennie Wise from WiseMind Soul Warrior, and I have Dana McBride on with us. This is a surprise pop-up YTT interview that we're doing and success story. And I am super, super grateful that Dana was able to pop on with us today. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So Dana, tell us how you connected with me and how long kind of we've been working together, and like a little bit of background around that. And then we'll get more into, sharing your yoga story and a few other kind of questions along those lines.
Well, I have been working with you and WiseMind for about 5 years now, in a few different kinds of roles. And recently, well, not really recently, but over the last couple of years, you have been kind of pushing me, steering me, guiding me, I guess would be a better word, to join the yoga teacher training. And so that's where I'm at right now. And I'm actually really excited to be a part of it. And I'm glad that you gently nudged me to do that.
Encouraged would be a good word.
Yeah.
Encouraged, motivated.
Yeah. Well, I can say for me, I needed the push. So I don't want to necessarily, I'm not saying like you were pushing it on me. That wasn't what I'm saying. I'm just trying to say, like, you knew it was something I needed because of the years of us working together, me sharing stuff with you. It was because of that relationship was there. I felt like that's why you were like, just like, try it, do it. Yes. It was because I don't get that vibe from you.
I know.
I just want to explain that for anybody listening. I don't want people to think, oh, she's a pusher. She's not. No.
No.
Maybe just to me, but I need the push. So that's why.
Yeah. And it's more like you said, of a gentle nudge. And over the years, I've really actually gotten good, I think, at working with people one-on-one, as many that I have, and also in a group setting, to know when somebody needs a gentle nudge and when to back the way up.
Yeah.
Because with some people, you're like, I have enough intuition, like intuitively, to know, like, okay, like I'm not even going to bring anything up to this person right now because they're not ready. Right.
Yes.
So there's that, they're in that place of resistance where there is no change is going to happen when you're in a place of resistance. Right.
Yeah.
So,
and I feel like maybe you've noticed that in me in the past too, where you were like, you know what, I'm not going to push her right now. And I do know from attending the different master classes and challenges that you've offered and retreats that I've been to, where it comes from a genuine place, a real place. You're not just selling something. You want to genuinely help. And that, I think, is very important, especially in this, with everything that's going on in the world. I think that having people that actually care, genuinely want to help people, is important. And I think that's what I get from you. And I think that's, like I said, it's important. And it's important to me. Just because it just shows that someone cares, and, and it's valuable lessons and content, and, it's worth it, is, I guess, what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful for the nudge.
I know you are. So tell me, from a yoga perspective, I know that you started getting more into breath work, essential oils, meditation. You've been doing a lot with yin. Share a little bit about your kind of journey around yoga as well.
Well, initially, probably like in my early 20s, I actually used to do yoga for like a fitness thing. And I was like, okay, this is great for pre or post runs, or, more intense exercise. I thought it was more about my body. And then over the years, and people telling me, and then finally Jennie saying, like, hey, did you know that you could use yin? I was like, what's yin? And so then you were explaining, it's when you hold the poses longer.
Mm-hmm.
And because they're designed to release that muscle, the fascia, that's the right word, right?
Mm-hmm.
To release that wherever it's tight. And I was like, okay, I was skeptical. I'm not going to lie. I was skeptical. I was like, how can holding something long help? And okay, it did, because I was having this really bad back pain and I don't have it anymore. I did the yin probably 3 to 5 times a week, every week for like a few months. And the pain started to slowly go away and then it just was gone. And I was like, wait, I didn't believe it. I was like, no way. Maybe I'm just ignoring it,
Yeah.
But then I'm like, okay, I really do feel a lot better. And so that was just really cool. And then on top of that, like I started getting into the oils, and I love the oils. Like right now, I'm at my desk and I have 3 that I use every day. So I have them to help me focus, to help me stay motivated, and one that is supposed to help with the creative energy. And that I really like. And I was skeptical of that too. And it's one of those things, and it all goes hand in hand. And I didn't really, like, it was like, I didn't really make that connection right away until Jennie kind of at one of the retreats, or actually at all the retreats that I've been to, you're like, here, let me pass around some oils, try this one for opening whatever, or I can't even think of one for example, like use peppermint for that energy or whatever it was. Or like if we were talking about a certain chakra or something, like let's use the oil that corresponds to that chakra. And I'm like, wait. It's those things that like open my eyes, because it's a totally different way of thinking about things. And for me personally, it gets me away from the drug type stuff, prescription medications. And I didn't really like to lean on that if possible. Like for the pain, I didn't want to have to spend a lifetime taking pain medication. So that's why I was really like, even though I was skeptical, I wanted to try the yin. I was like, let me give it a shot.
Right.
And
well, I remember, Dana, being on FaceTimes with you.
Yes.
And showing you stretches on FaceTime.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, here we go. Ready? Okay, supine twist. And I'm like showing you these different supine twist is like the best lower back stretch that you can do in yin. Just like the pigeon pose is the best hip opener that there is, as far as I'm concerned. Unless you have hip or knee problems, then you want to do like a figure 4 or maybe some other options. But if you don't have gentle knees, pigeon pose is the most,
couldn't you put like a little blanket or something under your knees to
you
do those?
could, but if somebody has gentle knees or knee issues happening,
no,
probably don't want to be doing pigeon pose, but they could. And I do have this at my desk too, by the way.
So you have one at your desk too.
Okay. So, and I know you've started doing meditation practice as well, which is awesome. Okay.
That one I have a hard time remembering to do, but I definitely, when I have done them, every time I've done them, so this is why I feel like I need to get that habit solid, is every time I've done them, I immediately feel energized, motivated, excited, because usually I turn to them when I am stressed out or overwhelmed or like flustered, like where I can't even think straight. Just taking that 5 minutes or whatever to just stop and slow down really helps. And, and even like now, like actually I've done, like when I'm exercising now, I even do some of the deep breath in and the exhale, and that helps my heart rate get regulated again, like if I'm overdoing it. And I feel like there's so many, it really shows the versatility of these skills in other aspects of your life. That's what I think was the most surprising, and that's what I love about it, to be honest.
Right. Yeah, probably. I think for you, you're probably thinking of the 𝗬𝗀𝗃 pranayama, the 3-part breath. And then I think another one we've talked about a lot is the 𝗪𝗔cije, which is the alternate nostril breath. And that's the nature Xanax. That's like the best one for stress, for anxiety, and for grounding your nervous system. Okay, so
Uh-oh.
Tell us, I want to talk a little bit more about kind of your journey around yoga psychology and you personally, which is very fitting coming off of this inner critic challenge that we just did around the perfectionist, the imposter syndrome, the taskmaster overachiever inner critic, the comparison conformist inner critic. So kind of how this yoga psychology and yoga therapy program and the shadow work and the things that we've started doing and the things that you've seen me do with many students, like over the years, right? All the different learning management systems and all the things, like where have you seen, or how can you, where have you seen the change and the transformation and the healing in your own samskara patterns? And then also, where do you see kind of where you've identified in yourself those one or I know you have multiple of those inner critics that you can relate to, that you're in the transformation and healing journey and you're going to go deeper into that journey of healing those inner critics?
Well, for starters, I am 100% without a doubt a perfectionist. That is one, and that is probably going to be one of my hardest ones to really get a handle on. In addition to that, I am definitely guilty of the taskmaster. I, like, on a personal note, like, I have been accused by my family of being a workaholic. I have, like, oh, you never have time for us. At the same time, I'm thinking, you know, I need to get this done. I can't not get it done. Like, whatever it is, I always feel like it could be work projects. It could be projects around the house. It could be just whatever. I have, like, it's always hard for me just to sit there and do nothing. Like, even if I am doing nothing, I'm still doing something. And that is really hard for me to, like, shut that down. In addition to that, I also am, like I said, the workaholic, the burnout. I am in that world too. And a little bit of the
comparison, the conformist, comparing, and there's the imposter syndrome. Who do you think you are?
Actually, I feel like the one I have overcome recently, not really recently, but over the last couple of years, is the who do you think you are? Because I used to think I didn't deserve certain things. I was like, I thought I was never going to be able to fall in love, or I was never going to get married, or I was never going to have the job or the whatever I wanted. I felt like something was wrong with me and I didn't deserve it. And that's how I felt ever since I was a teenager, ever since then till now. And eventually I started to change that. That one was a struggle because, you spend years and years building up this belief system in your own head that you have to basically undo it. And it is hard. And I have spent years and, I try not to talk down to myself anymore. That's the biggest thing I've been doing. And, I have a journal. I have a daily, I write just, even if it's just a sentence, because if I can't like spend time writing a big journal entry, I at least write a sentence to myself, encouraging myself, saying something like, you're stronger than you think. You are great. You can handle this. I try to motivate myself. So if I like write it down, it like sticks better. And it kind of fuels me through the day. And it keeps me positive. And yes, I do get discouraged and overwhelmed. I still get those things because I'm still working on. Those are the ones that are a little bit tricky for me because I'm a creative professional, so that we like things to be perfect. And if the design of the project isn't the way we envisioned it, it's wrong. Like, there's no middle ground. And
So you're working on that middle ground, right?
Yeah.
And that is actually also moving you away from what we call black and white thinking or all or
Yes.
nothing thinking. That's an
That's
actual
me.
psychology term.
Yes.
Is like, and that's a cognitive behavioral therapy term also, is black and white thinking, right? Where it's all or nothing, it's either good or bad. And to be able to, you know, as you move towards where I'm at, which is being a recovering perfectionist, right? Where you're able to move further away from the perfectionist samskara patterns, that first of all, there's freedom on the other side of that. Okay.
Yeah.
And second of all, you will less and less have to do that all or nothing, right? That the perfect or imperfect action is better than perfect procrastination, right? And that's a Jennie Wise quote right there that I came up with. That's not a,
I like it.
I came up with that quote. Okay. I always like to say that because
like
it's like, I didn't quote that from somebody else. That's a Jennie Wise original right there.
Well,
okay. So
it makes sense. And I can relate to that. Kind of. I'm working on that. I understand it.
And I've learned that the hard way. Okay. Yeah. I've learned that the hard way over going on 7 years of being an entrepreneur and a business owner. Okay. That's since 2016. So many, many lessons, right, for me to get to where I am now. Right. And that getting done is good enough. And my, you know, 100% is, do you know what I'm saying? Like somebody else's 100% is like me at 150%. Right. So I have to always be aware of that, of like, and you're the same way, right? Somebody else's bar is like, our bar is way, and that's not in an ego way, right? That's in like a perfectionist way, right? It's like, here's other people's 100%. We're like way at like 150. Okay. Yeah. So we have to, it's like, okay, my 100% is good enough, right? Like, it's okay. I have done an amazing job at this, and it will be an evolution as I continue to work on these projects. It'll get better and better and better, right? Exactly. So I have to start somewhere, right? That's where the action of the entrepreneur, right, starts, the imperfect action. Okay, well, so that's a whole other, we could talk about that for another hour. So let me,
I wanted to add one more thing about when you were talking about the all or nothing or the black and white and how those were psychology terms. It's actually funny that you say that, is because I have also done talk therapy, and that was some of the stuff that particular therapist had introduced me to. So it was really interesting to see my preconceived notions of what a yoga teacher is supposed to be. And I'm like, wait a second, she goes deeper than an asana practice, or just a meditation practice. There's more to it. And I thought that was really cool, because you're not like, just, it's not made up. You're pulling actual techniques and strategies that are already, you know, but you're adapting them in a different way, which I think is refreshing. And I think it works a lot better, because I've been in talk therapy for years, and some of the exercises work, but they only work if I get out of my head and focus on them. Whereas when I do the yoga psychology stuff, it's so multifaceted that it's easier. I don't know. It lasts without me necessarily having to constantly work at it. Does that make sense, what I'm trying to say? Like, it does. Yeah. Because when you think about the yoga psychology piece, there's the somatic piece of it as well. So the somatic piece is obviously the mind, body, spirit, right? So you're moving all these different, like you said, modalities. And when you're doing the meditation and breath work, you're healing yourself from the inside out. And when you're doing the asana and the journaling and all the other exercises, the shadow work exercises, whatever it is, you're healing yourself from the outside in. And in addition to that, when you do these rinsing techniques and moving emotions and energy and all of that, you know, that's healing yourself both directions, right? So that's why, like you said, the talk therapy is a beautiful thing, and it's definitely a key step in some people's healing journey. But many people, to get the depth of healing and transformation, especially when you're looking at cognitive behavioral change,
it takes more than just talk therapy, if that makes sense. Yeah.
And I'm one of those people. I definitely
Yeah.
needed more than sitting on the couch talking about my stuff.
Right. Because the other thing that happens with that, Dana, and again, I've experienced this the hard way, and I've known many students and clients that I've worked with in this same situation, is that you talk about, you know, your trauma, or you talk about your husband, or you talk about whatever the thing is, right? But all you're doing is adding more energy and keeping that, like, when you keep talking about it, you're recharging it and you're adding energy to it. You're not resolving it. You're not releasing it. You're not healing it. You're just continuing to talk about it over and over again. And that doesn't do anything, right? You can talk about the same thing for 20 years and not heal it. That's the point, right? You're just adding fuel to the fire and you're not healing it.
Yeah.
And because that's what it is. Like, because as you continue to talk about it, as I already said, you are adding energy to it and you're not healing it.
Yep.
Right. You're keeping it charged.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, which is why, like, when something happens, one of the many things that we teach in yoga psychology, especially in our relationships module, is to learn conscious communication, to be able to learn mindfulness in relationships, to be able to pause between stimulus and response, to be able to not be reactive in situations, right? So a huge part of this training is learning to live yoga off the mat, right? And part of that is to be able to pause more, to be able to, you know, more mindfully and consciously have communication. And that's a huge part of the training, right? So I just wanted to mention that as a side note.
Well, I know I haven't gotten to module 4 yet, so but I'm looking forward to that. I'm sure my whole family and my friends will be looking forward to that too. People come to me for advice, and so now I'll actually have something real to share instead of stuff I make up out of my, you know.
Well, you will be learning more about mindfulness in module 3. So that will be a stepping stone to help you with, like, the reactivity, you know, the emotional reactivity and things like that we all have, right? Every single one of us has that, right? Because in relationships, that's the biggest mirror that we have to hold up to us of the things that need to heal. And so that's the biggest place where we're going to get triggered is our intimate relationships, right? So whether it's romantic, whether it's our family of origin, whether it's a close friend or a peer that you work with, a business partner, whatever it is, the most intimate relationships, right? That makes sense. That's where you're most vulnerable. So that's where your biggest healing can happen. And that's where your biggest triggers can happen. Right. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So I want you to take a moment, because I know you have seen many, many interviews and you've heard many people talk about this, about what it is like to be on a consultation with me. And we just interviewed Anita and Archana over the past couple of days, and they both shared about that. So take a moment, because part of our enrollment process is for us to sit down with you on a call and to see where you are in your healing journey, right? What have you done up to this point, right? Have you done therapy? Have you done coaching? Have you not? Like, what have you tried? Where, you know, what are you looking to solve, right? So that's kind of the consultative style discussion that we're going to have. I'm certainly not here to push somebody. I'm there as a way to, like, figure out where they're at in the journey, and is the program a good fit for them right now to move into their next, you know, phase of healing.
Right.
So kind of share a little bit of what you've seen with other students in our consultations, even you and I talking, of what it would be like for a student to get on a call with me.
Well, the biggest thing, even when I think maybe in the first few times I've ever even spoke to you back, you know, 5 years ago, is that it's like I know Archana said this too, but it's like talking to a friend. And it's like talking to a friend you haven't talked to in a while, because then you can just kind of share everything that's going on, and you basically kind of just listen. You listen to kind of see where we are, what is going on. And then I think at that time, you're not only are you listening and trying to figure out to see what you can, like, where this person might fit in the Wise Mind journey. But I feel like you're also thinking, what can I do for them right now? And, you know, because I know I can tell, like I said earlier, is like you genuinely care and you don't like it when people are sad or, you know, hurting. And I feel that. And I feel like it even comes through whether you're doing a Zoom or a phone call. There's that genuine, you know, that sincerity there because you really do care. And I think that's why maybe people would want to open up and share their story with you, even if it's just for a 30-minute call. I know I have shared a lot over the years. Like, I feel like you probably know my whole life story up to this point at now. Like, but I know in all of those conversations, though, I feel like we've been able to get to the bottom of things. We've been able to like understand. We've had good conversations. We've had hard conversations. And I think through all of them, there is typically some resolution. There's some plan of action. And I think that's sort of what is different. Because I've had consults with other people and they turn into more of a sales pitch rather than a genuine level of concern. And because like I think with you, for me, it's always been I sometimes would forget that we're, you know, there's other things, you know, we're here to talk about, you know, WiseMind Soul Warrior or, you know, whatever it is. And it's like sometimes I'll forget about that. I'm like, oh yeah. Whereas like other calls, you're very, very in tune. This person is trying to sell me something. And I don't get that vibe from you. And because like I said, it's like talking to a friend, like, or talking to someone like a friend you haven't talked to in a while, because you kind of catch them up on everything. And that's what I get from, you know, all the consultations and even like hearing everybody else talk about their consultations. And I know because you know, everybody has their own story. And I don't know, I just feel like you take that in and it helps you figure out like where people fit and kind of.
Yeah. And it is truly, like you said, it is truly a consultation, right? Like I really want to know where people are and is this a good fit for them, you know? And like, for example, I've had conversations with certain students, which is rare, right? This is very rare, but I have had, you know, like one or two students over the years, maybe three, where I was like, this isn't a good fit. Like, I feel like you need to be in therapy right now. Like, you know, like it might be somebody struggling with like severe, you know, bipolar or something, you know, along those lines. That it's not to say that this program would not help them with this, but where they were in their journey, the timing was off. So that is what I mean by like, if they came back to us like a year later, do you see what I'm saying? Like, so that's another reason why I want to get on these calls, is because I want to make sure the timing is a good fit and they're a good fit for the program and they're a good fit for the rest of the group. Right. So there's many programs that is part of the process, right? That
But there's also many that aren't, where they just want to churn people out.
Yes. And that's another reason, because we're limiting this to 20 people, right? So it's meant to be a small container of healing and transformation, and that those 20 people are getting undivided attention, right? So that's another great reason to bring up. And it is an application process, right? So instead of, you know, some trainings, you'll just sign out, you know, an application process online. This is basically our application process, but you're getting on a call with me instead.
Yeah.
So that I can have like a face-to-face, right, with that person online.
Yeah. And it's still like, even if the person, or if you like together, you guys come to the conclusion that maybe it's not a good fit right now, I still feel like the person would still get something from that call. Maybe it's a guidance of where maybe they should go, or if you have like a recommendations, or, you know, something that I feel like you're not going to leave them hanging with their pain.
Right. I would make a recommendation for something else. Right.
Yeah.
Whether it was, other things. Like I'm not here to like, leave people hanging. So I'm going to put it in the comments, which is wisemindsoulwarrior.com. That is our information page, and you can book a call from there. If you've already looked at the information page, you can go to wisemindsoulwarrior.com/book, and that's just the consult page. So one last question for Dana is, I would love for you to share, well, two questions next to last, is I would love for you to share for those students that are not familiar with the layout of the program, with the learning management system, the live calls that we do, the mentorship program, the virtual retreats that we do, the manual, all the things. Can you take a moment to just kind of share, you know, what you've seen and also what you've heard from other students, because everything that we've gotten has been positive feedback as far as the way that's all set up?
Well, it's hard to say where to start because there's so many good things and good aspects about it. So, but basically, I guess once you sign up at WiseMind Soul Warrior, you get enrolled in our learning management system, or LMS, and it's with we call it MemberVault. And so it has, we've set it up so there is a way where there's module, like there's 6 modules.
6 modules.
There's 6 modules, and so within each module, we've kind of divided it up so that it's like there's a week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and then that way, and then within each week, you can access each a video. So you could do it like 1 video a day, or basically you can adapt it to what works for your schedule. Or I know there's a daily or a weekly asana and sadhana. Thank you. I was going to say meditation, but I guess it's the same thing.
It is the same. Sadhana is the breath work, meditation, affirmations, and sometimes chants. Yeah.
Okay. So the asana and sadhana, there's like, so you could either do that like every day. I mean, basically it's just a way to keep organized, which is really good. And so then there's also a syllabus so that you could just check off as you're going through it. Like, oh, I did that, I watched that. And then there's, of course, there's tons of handouts for everything. But then there's also the manual. And the manual is really handy too. Like if you wanted to print out and highlight, you know, you could do that kind of stuff if you want, put it in a binder, whatever you want to do with it. It's your resource. And I think that's also a valuable tool. Sometimes it has a little bit more information than what is in the handouts. And it always ties into Jennie's videos. So that's a really handy tool. And then of course, the virtual retreats are really cool too, because, you know, we get to hear from other experts in their fields, and they get to answer different kinds of questions. And it's really interesting because, like, I know the welcome one was Ramesh, and he taught us, like, I'm still learning stuff and still wrapping my head around all the Ayurveda and all that stuff around all of that. And it's really interesting. And then the just recently there was the trauma counselor, which was also a really cool person to have. And I think that was like the first time you've done something like that, right?
Yeah, she's coming back actually in August. So she'll be a regular part of the program going forward. Awesome. I'm glad you brought that up. Ramesh will be coming back. And then in June, we're going to have Dr. Ginger Wolf coming, who is a functional medicine expert and also an expert in women's health. So that will be the first virtual retreat that we do for this cohort, and it'll be on June 15th.
Oh, okay. That's cool. But I was just like, I like that you have the different guest speakers. It gives, you know, a chance like to interact with somebody new, learn from somebody different, you know, just to have a different perspective. And I think that's really important. And the other thing that I think is cool about the WiseMind Soul Warrior is the groups, the mentor groups. So we can, I know Jennie's just one person, so we can't always be bugging her for every question, and, you know, and so now we have like the mentors, which are really helpful. And, you know, we get to join them and we get to practice teaching and, you know, to kind of feel comfortable, because that is actually one of the things that I am afraid of, is because I haven't had a chance to actually do my first practice yet. And I am trying really hard not to be nervous about it. But
there's no pass or fail. Let me just say that for everybody that watches this, okay, no one's going to get failed. Okay, so don't worry about that.
It's just for experience, right?
Yes, it's growing outside your comfort zone, and it's for practice. So you don't need to worry. It's not like for those of us that like got scared, like Dana and I probably were both like this in school, where it was like nothing but A's. And if we didn't get an A, then we weren't good enough and we probably beat ourselves up. It's not meant to be that way in yoga.
It was more like me having to get in front of the classroom and do a speech. That's the one that gets me. The A thing.
Okay, well then you're gonna go way out your comfort zone then when it comes to this.
Like I'll tell you, like in college, we had to do a public speaking class. I waited until I was about to graduate before I took that class. And we did like a critique thing, and they told me I moved around too much or I fidgeted too much. I'm glad you guys can't see me right now because I'm like touching my thighs. I'm like tapping on my hand, you know, rearranging like. Ugh.
Every single person, a majority of people struggle with that too, right? Like I actually got a minor in communications and I had to do public speaking stuff, but everybody struggles with that. Everybody gets a little bit of nervous, a little bit of fear. And it's the same way as a yoga teacher, right? Whether you're teaching an asana practice, a meditation, a breath work, whatever it is, mindfulness, there is no growth without going outside of your comfort zone. Period. True. You can't do any kind of growth in your comfort zone. Okay.
What do they say? You can't expect to change or expect change if everything else stays the same or something. Like you can't expect things to change if you're doing the same things. Right. What the definition of insanity? That's what it is.
Right. Is doing the same thing over and over again. Yes.
Expecting different results.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Okay, girl. So that was a good highlight. I did also want to mention that everyone will get into a private Facebook group, but we'll have a special summer 2022 cohort Facebook group that'll be just for this group of 20 women. We've got some amazing women already signed up. And I did also want to mention that we will be having an actual retreat that is also included as part of the tuition. And that will be from July 15th through the 17th. And it's not required to get the certification. It's meant to enhance the certification. So for those of you that, like, for example, we just had somebody sign up from Alaska. Okay. She's not going to be able to come to the retreat. So we don't make that mandatory for either one, someone who just maybe can't afford or is not able to get here. Or secondly, because of COVID, they might have COVID concerns. But like, for example, we had somebody else sign up who's coming from Colorado and she is going to fly here and come. And we've got somebody else coming from New York City and we've got other people from Florida. And so the point is, if it works, we encourage people to come because you're going to get a whole bonding experience, by meeting, which is why we have a hybrid program, right? We call this a hybrid program between in person and online for that reason. And that's why we've created a retreat. And we don't really have time to get into it now, but Dana was part of our retreat last year, one of our Asheville retreats. And one thing I did want to mention is our fire transformation ceremony, where you actually write to let go of your inner critic or let go of emotions. It could be anger, it could be fear, it could be frustration, resentment, right? So you actually write a letter to some scar patterns or these emotions that you want to release. And Dana was one of the brave women that stepped up with that fire transformation ceremony that we will be doing again in July. So I'm super excited for that. And the entire weekend, it's going to be at a beautiful location that's surrounded by the Blue Ridge Mountains. And it's got a giant man-made lake in the middle. And we're going to be doing yoga outside. I mean, it is going to be like transformational. So I'm super excited about that. So one last piece, Dana. Mm-hmm. If you were going to sit down with somebody who is thinking about joining WiseMind Soul Warrior, what would you tell that person? And what would you tell that person once again about getting on a consult call with me?
First, I would say, I'm just going to say about the call, I would say just give it a shot. It's 30 minutes. It's not if you look at your whole day, I'm sure there is 30 minutes that you could spare to chat. And again, you don't have to be nervous. Just jumping on a call with Jennie is, like I said, talking to a friend, just like kind of playing catch up. And she is there for you to be receptive, and she will listen and help guide you the best way that sees fit. As far as joining WiseMind Soul Warrior, I would say if you are struggling in just in any way that you're struggling, like something isn't going the way that you feel like in your life, or you don't feel like you deserve things, or if you're feeling lost, or you need some kind of level of guidance, or you're not really sure what to do next, whether you're a business owner, a mom, just a working professional, like you don't have to be into yoga. Like there's so much more to this than yoga. And because I think that's where a lot of people get hung up on. There's like those other components that it really just deepens that journey. And ultimately, with the Jennie's guidance, you'll be able to rely on your guidance in the end. So it lasts forever. And so in my, it's worth it, is my point. Is, it's definitely something, yes, it requires some commitment, but all good things do. So, everything's not going to be solved overnight, because again, good things aren't. And so, it's going to take some work, but it is worth it. If you want to see real change, it's worth it. And if you really want your life to be the best it can be, it's definitely the option, I think.
Well, beautifully said, girl. Thank you so much for that. And I did want to mention, I'm glad you brought that up. I did want to mention, in case we didn't mention this on this call, is that we have probably, I don't know the exact percentage, but I think it's close to 80%, if not more, of the women in this program work full-time or part-time at a minimum. Mm-hmm. And they're also doing this training. So
I do.
Yeah, like Dana works, part-time right now. Before that, she's working full-time.
Well, I do kind of both.
Well, she kind of is working full-time when you think about she supports clients and she has part-time jobs. So the point is that I have had this conversation with many, many women, and many women, including Anita, by the way, who is a corporate businesswoman with a full-time job. And she managed to get, to go through the training. And she had thanked me that I encouraged her to keep going, because there were times where she struggled, but she made it through, and she's so, so grateful.
That's how I feel as well. I said that's how I feel too, because I know not too long ago where I was like, I don't know if I could do this. And then you're like, you need to do this. You can do this. Like, and you even sat with me, and I think we even talked about what if you did like did this on this day. Like we even tried to come up with a schedule for me, and that helped. And and I'm still doing it. And sometimes I can't catch the lives every week, and that's fine. So I'll just catch them in the Facebook group or the LMS, and I'm okay with that. And then of course I can go to, post a comment if I have a question, or, hey, I need advice about this, or I watched this video. There's always a way to get in touch with somebody, whether it's somebody from my group or Jennie or my mentor, or, just anybody else in the class or in the cohort.
Yeah.
So it's really, and it's fun, because like when I join live, I do, it's nice knowing that I'm not the only one that feels the way that I'm feeling. Like when I share stuff, because I'll have a couple of the other ladies will say like, oh, I know exactly what you're going through. I just went through blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh my God, we're the same. And it kind of like validates it. And then also at the same time makes me feel like connected.
Yeah, you have a sense of support. And that's a great thing to bring up, Dana, is that it is meant to be a support system, and it's meant to be a 𝗂𝗰𝗲 Asanga are some of the kind of soul sister yoga words that we use, that it is definitely meant to be a support system in addition to it just being, quote, a standard yoga teacher training program. And it does have that therapeutic aspect to it. And it does also have a coaching piece to it, right? So it's not just, quote, a standard checkbox 300-hour training. It's well beyond that.
Yeah. And it's not like just sitting there reading a textbook or
Right.
just watching videos. There's, you know, I mean,
you're actually doing work. You're actually doing shadow work.
But I mean, like, if someone does prefer to learn that way, I mean, is that not an option? Like, if they just want to watch the videos and
yeah, they can do that too. Yeah, absolutely. But I did want to mention one last time before we get off of here that 2 quick things. One, this is, as Dana mentioned, this is not just for yoga teachers, right? This is not just for someone who's looking to teach. This is as much for your own personal transformation journey and learning these stress resilience and emotional resilience skills as much as it is if you want to teach yoga or meditation or mindfulness or yoga psychology, all the things. Because that's the other thing this program does, is it prepares you to teach many, many things, not just a standard traditional yoga class. And also we do done for you handouts, which is an important thing to mention, that if you are an entrepreneur or a coach or even a yoga teacher, for example, we have a whole meditation workshop that we give you of the 3 most common reasons that we've seen why people don't start or continue a meditation practice. And you literally can download that handout and use it in your own workshop or use it in your own, you know, group coaching. So that's what I mean by there's a huge difference between, quote, a standard 300 YTT and what we're actually, the value that we're giving you. Okay. Okay. So with all of that, I am going to let you go. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. You can message me directly. You can message us on Facebook. You can set up a consultation call if you have questions. You're welcome to look at the page first, which is WiseMindSoulWarrior.com. And then on that page is where there's 5 places where you can set up a consult call. Again, if you've already looked at the page, then you can also go to WiseMindSoulWarrior.com/book. When I post the replay to this, I will, you know, put all that in the comments. And we are super, super excited to continue to support you through this process. And our enrollment doors are only open for the next couple weeks. So just know that it is a limited time that we have the doors open. So if you're feeling called and if this is resonating for you, just do it. Okay? Because I also don't normally do one-on-one calls. So I did want to mention that too, that this is like a special time that I'm carving out of my schedule because I don't offer one-on-one calls anymore. Like it's when I run these, you know, when we're creating a new cohort, like we're doing right now, that's when I offer, you know, one-on-one time, if that makes sense. So I'm here. You might as well benefit from it. Okay. Yeah. All right. So I'm sending you all so much love, light, and blessing. For Patricia, I want to say welcome, welcome, welcome. And for the other women who've already signed up and enrolled, I am so, so grateful. And I had a beautiful call with somebody today and she started crying and I came close to crying. And I'm so glad I didn't cry, but I came close. My eyes were tearing up, but she started crying because it was so like obvious that the timing was like the perfect timing and that we were in alignment. And those are the types of calls that I get like goosebumps on because it was so clear. It was so crystal clear that she's meant to be in this cohort. And those
that makes me think of, we've had a few calls like that got a little emotional. And I think at the end of it, I think after we got out whatever the emotional that we had to get out, I think we felt better. And I felt like a little closer to you too after that too. So, I mean, I don't know. That was a really good story. You gave me goosebumps too, telling that about the girl that.
Yeah. I mean, literally because there were different things that were happening in her life that aligned with the timing of her being able to do this. And like, again, without me getting emotional right now and starting to get teary eyed, when I get on those types of calls, like there is no like, first of all, it's priceless, right? As far as like her investing in the program, because she knows that she needs it, and she's already done healing work, right? She's already done talk therapy. She's primed and ready to step into this deeper healing. But the other part of it is like from a timing perspective, that she had put other things on the shelf so that her timing, right, it works out. And so those are the calls that I love getting on. Because again, when the teacher or when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Mm-hmm.
And so here I am. So whoever's teacher I'm meant to be in this next cohort, the universe is going to make that happen, and the dots are going to connect. Yep. So here I am. Okay, so I'm going to let you go.
Okay.
And I want to thank you so much for taking the time to jump on here with me. I'm so grateful. I know you're super, super busy, as we all are super busy. So thank you so much for taking out your time of the day and to jump on here with this pop-up interview, which was like kind of last minute. So thank you so much for doing that. I really appreciate it. And sending you all so much love, light, and blessing. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your night. And I did want to mention, we're going to be getting on a masterclass tomorrow, which is yoga psychology for happiness and yoga psychology for your mood. So welcome. You're welcome to join that. We will be going live in the Facebook group for that as well. So if you're in the Facebook group, it'll be through Zoom for those that have registered. And then we will also go live in the Facebook group tomorrow at noon. So we will see you tomorrow. Again, I hope you have a beautiful rest of your night. Namaste. Thank you again, Dana. And we will talk to you all soon. Have a beautiful night. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.